Hey, welcome back to another session of the Growth and Scaling Sessions. This is such an awesome day for me because I am so lucky. I get to interview tons of people on my Growth and Scaling podcast, which is a sister broadcast to this. You can learn more about that here. Uh, we have an amazing podcast that interviews tons of business founders who are talking about their growth and scaling journey in their businesses. And occasionally I find those unique founders who need more attention to what they're doing. And they also are experts in speaking to the topics that we talk about on the growth and scaling sessions. So oftentimes you'll see people that I've had on this broadcast on the growth and scaling sessions on my podcast, the growth and scaling podcast. Today's one of those days. I had an amazing podcast interview with Brian Gerstner, who we're going to introduce here in just a second. And we've had some really fun conversations since we recorded the podcast, of which we talked about competition. We both have run outsourced operations offshore, and he is the perfect guy for me to talk to about this topic because in one sense, you could look at us as competitors, and in another sense, you can look at us as complementary companies offering awesome services. So I want to introduce today Brian Gerstner. And Brian, give us a quick intro as to who you are. Tell us about your business and why does it matter to the people watching today?
Excellent. Thank you, Todd. My name is Brian Gerstner, and I'm the president of White Label IQ. And White Label IQ works exclusively with agencies, and we work as a strategic partner to bring specialized skill sets for digital production, specifically in areas where agencies need like high top level talent so that we have somebody who can deliver high quality, best in class services. And, talent that agencies often can't keep in house because of the demands of the clients often change through time.
Right.
So for my agency, essentially, we do operate as a strategic partner for agencies in a way to kind of level out that roller coaster and make fixed costs with an agency more manageable.
I love it. I love it. So a lot of people are looking at a company like you thinking, okay, he's another VA provider or an outsourced service provider. What's the
Right.
difference? What's the difference? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, the big difference for us is we're not just a development shop, okay? We come from having extensive amounts of experience in the agency life. So, I mean, we know it's all different. It takes a bit of moxie to be in the agency
Right.
life. And because of that, we understand the pain points. And, one of the ways we differentiate is we work exclusively with agencies so that we can structure our company to be able to kind of, address those pain points. Things like terms of service. We understand design and presentation matter. We know how to help provide a lot of the documentation, the unknown questions that people don't necessarily know how to ask to be able to mitigate and manage scope creep. Just a lot of ways to be a partner. Our mission statement is to make agency life easier and more profitable. We're constantly working to do that. And it's a moving target. Even right now, as we talk, AI is very disruptive. There's a lot of other disruptive forces in there.
Right.
And we see ourselves as specialists in a way to also bring innovation from our, subject matter expertise areas to agencies so that we can kind of work together and kind of move forward and serve our clients. At the end of the day, we're all just trying to bring value to the table.
So what you're saying though is that not every agency knows how to do everything. Really, really well.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, the fully integrated model, we all know that fully integrated agencies are working with partners. They're working with vendors. They're working with contract labor
Right.
constantly
Right.
because, yeah, just the demands are so different all
But
the
I
time.
know that, but not everybody knows that. So
True, true.
cat's out of the bag. Cat's out of the bag. Not every agency knows how to do everything in-house.
Mhm. Well, and also, Todd, the key is, we all want to punch above our weight. We all want the large clients with the money, and a lot of times those large clients are also working with the very large agencies who can have best in class
Right.
departments in their agency, but the majority of agencies can't hit that best in class across all those marks. So the larger companies don't necessarily pay attention.
Right.
So there's a lot of merit into how we work with agencies to, as I said, bring that best in class service in multiple verticals.
So
And, my key point is, when you look at the competition, those types of partnerships allow you to be more competitive. They
right,
allow you to punch above your weight.
right. Now, Brian, that we're the topic today really is about competition.
Sure.
How should you view your competition? And one of the reasons that I love this topic is, I have a product called the orbit analysis. And essentially, in keeping relative to the topic of the show, the growth and scaling sessions, we are, when you talk about growth and scaling in any size company, if you don't know what your competitors are doing, good luck. I mean, it really is just stupid to not know what your competitors are doing. I have found so many companies are so focused on themselves that they really kind of forget the fact that there are other people offering similar services to them. They might be doing it in their own unique way, but don't look at that as something to be scared of. Look at that as something that is going to tell you where maybe you should go and maybe where you shouldn't go. Maybe what your product should be focused on and maybe what they should not be focused on. How do you view this whole thing? Because I just see so many companies think, oh my gosh, they're another outsourced service provider. There's no way I should even talk to them. How do you view?
No, I mean, understanding your competition is incredibly important. As I said, I've been in the agent world for a long time. We've done a lot of competitive assessments, a lot of the strategic reviews internally and externally. And, there's a couple reasons. Number one, you have to study your competition because that's a great way to understand the market need. You we talk about blue ocean kind of
Right,
incentives going in there with new markets. Well, like, in many ways, I see going into a competitive market as being a better option. Because Blue Waters takes a huge amount of investment to get up to a place up there, and often you still have to assess what is the market demand, what is the audience fit. Have competition. There's an audience. There's a market. There's a
right,
need in that area, and a lot of the study you do of your competitors is to understand that market need. Now, what people do with that information is imperative, okay? Because if you're looking at the market and you're saying, okay, this is what my competitor is doing, they're very successful here, and you go toe to toe in that same area,
right,
well, then you end up creating, you're not differentiating yourselves. And at that point, even if you do meet your client, your
right,
competition in that market, you're now competing on price because you have two identical service offerings and
right,
who can do it cheaper. So in that realm, competitive studies are really important to understand market and audience fit, market demand. Where's the innovation? Where's the change happening? But the key is, how do you differentiate yourself, right?
right,
Because
right.
marketing is very much about identifying that differentiator and being able to communicate the value you bring to the table through that difference that your competition cannot. And that's where
100%.
you can bring in value pricing. That's where you can really, charge more for your product because of the expertise you have in that differentiator and really separate yourself from the pack. And at the end of the day, too, you have something to talk about. I mean, being
Right.
able to identify the value you bring to the table and that differentiation, now you have a platform to stand on. Now you have
Yep.
a way to stand out in the crowd instead of just, being another one person punching and fighting for the same people. Because we
Totally.
all know at the end of the day, you know, um, I mean, we're all here to make money, create better lives,
Right.
and we just
It,
don't want to fight the value game. We don't. I
you know,
mean, I don't want to fight the price game. No one
and so
wins,
many and so many founders have this scarcity mindset, right? I mean, they're like,
right?
well, if somebody else is doing it, maybe I shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is that if you need to think more abundance mindset. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could be the only shoe provider in a small town, and it's okay if somebody else comes. Like, I think about hamburgers, or you think about
Mm-hmm.
hardware stores. Um, Home Depot and Lowe's, they're almost always within a mile of each other. It's like,
Yeah.
why is that? Well,
Well,
it's okay. It's okay to give people some options there.
you look at that because you brought up a couple points where you brought up some big national, international type companies. And a lot of our competition, we're working in more regional
Right.
or even local type of areas. So when you look at large competition, like, oh, I definitely can't compete with Home Depot. That's fine. But here's the thing: you can compete at a regional and local level, okay?
Right.
Because you don't need like 50 million customers like Home Depot does.
Yeah.
Most companies, an agency needs what, like 10, 20, 50 really good clients. You don't
Right.
need 10,000. You don't need a
Right.
million. And when you go at that local level, or you start focusing on what you do, you cannot narrow your niche down. Like, there is no too much. Like, if
Now,
you could say, hey, I work with dentists in Florida exclusively, that's a huge market. You
yeah.
can build that there, you can set up success, and then of course you can then repeat that when you need to, but you can make that market incredibly successful by narrowing it down. And you
Now,
set
Brian,
yourself apart. So,
I
like,
said
yeah.
I agree. Now I set up a QR code in the chat here, or in the video here, to download an article that you've written.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about the article. Why do people want to download this QR or scan the QR to download this doc?
Totally. So the document is about strategic partnerships. So very much our viewpoint is that agencies of the past, and I use the word past as kind of a framing mechanism, but have been afraid of competition. You're afraid of the other agencies who are at the table. So when you're working with a client, there's always old agency. They're searching for another agency.
Yeah.
Um, Agencies of the future moving forward need to be much more concerned about losing talent in-house in their agency. You need to be much more focused about having people in your agency that can deliver value, that can deliver strategy, that can really
Right.
focus in and understand what you're doing. And don't be so concerned about your competition. That framework of abundance is true.
Yeah.
You will make so much, but the decisions you make moving forward on that area of abundance and specializing and having strong talent in your agency is a much better path to success than making decisions out of fear about your competition. Those fearful decisions never work out well. Just from
So
my
so this
experience, it's just a cascading effect of problems.
so, so this PDF that's on the QR code, what is it going to tell me? Why do I want it?
So a lot of it is just talking about the advantages of strategic partnerships.
Okay.
How to assess a partner. Because finding a good strategic partner is not easy. We all work with a ton of vendors, but when you look at a partnership, they really have to be able to have a good cultural fit, the values. You have to know that they fit your needs for the long term. So it talks a lot about how strategic partnerships can mitigate risks and help position agencies for growth through that situation. In there, we lay out like the SWOT analysis of the risks that come from strategic partnerships, a lot of the
Right.
questions you need to ask. And also, we talk about the opportunities that strategic partners can build and how to move forward in those strategic partnerships when you choose them.
I
In
love it.
doing that, it is very much about understanding your strengths and understanding your partner's strengths to make those good pairings.
One of the things that I find so interesting in business ownership is that, at first you treat your business like it's your baby. You treat it like
Mhm,
you don't want anybody else to really know what's going on inside your business.
mhm.
And so because of that, they're hesitant to even share what their primary
Right.
offering is. I mean, they get nervous about it. Now,
Yeah.
on the flip side, those who have had a successful exit, have built a business and left, and then now they're starting something else. I see this trend that one of the first things they do is they kind of get to know the people in their new marketplace.
Mhm,
It's like I've found that for example, my company Moku,
mhm,
we have this orbit analysis, where we go in and we do a RevOps analysis of companies.
mhm.
Now, I could go from scratch and trying to find companies that need a RevOps analysis, which is going to be really hard to do. Or I go to someone like a management consultant who's already in bed with this company and say, hey,
Right.
look, I don't want to have a piece of your management consulting. All I want to do is work on their revenue operations. That's all I want to do.
Mhm.
Is that going to help you with your product? And at one point, I could look at them as my competition because
Hmm.
they're trying to get consulting dollars out of the company. But on the flip side, they could be my best referral partners.
Right.
How do
Absolutely.
businesses need to look at their competition or even potential competition as referral partners as opposed to competition? How do you do that, Brian?
Well, um, it's definitely finding partners who know what they do really well. Because as I alluded earlier,
Right,
when you're looking at a partnership, you need someone who is trying to focus.
right,
I'm doing this really well, so that way, as you bring in your service offering, there's not too much overlap, or at least
right.
you can work there. And at the end of the day, that the type of referrals we know referrals almost bring instant credibility through those types of relationships. The deals move faster, the conversations get to the point quicker, but two, you're gaining access to other people's audiences. And as you look there, there's also opportunities on your side as you're going to market where people need the services of your other partner. And there are
Right.
these collaborations, these consortiums of groups of people. I am seeing a lot more of that type of kind of networking structures coming
Totally.
together. I
Totally.
mean, across the market, it's bubbling up. People are talking, and I really feel that that's important, you know,
I
and
know that for
that.
me
So
as a
yeah,
Yeah, I know that for me as a business founder, I find great strength in knowing like I don't have a problem if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Todd, we've been helping you with this problem." For example, like I've got a LinkedIn outreach tool, right?
mhm,
I've got the founder of the company and I are pretty good friends now, and he says to me, "Hey, Todd, these are the parts that we've developed, but you need to know that we have a strategic partner that does this other little piece for us.
yeah,
I just want you to know that." And he's fully transparent. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'd much rather go use that product through you, knowing that there's a fit there together, as
mhm,
opposed to me going out and finding my own solution for the other part. You know what I mean? It's
mhm,
like, okay, cool. So you'll talk to my CRM or you'll talk to not only will we do that, Todd, but we're already integrated. Oh, really? That's awesome. And I think, Brian, that there's this new way we have to think as business founders that, first of all, we got to know which problem we want to solve as a business owner.
right. There's so many.
And and secondly, if we know we don't want to do these other parts, find the guys that are and go
Mhm,
to them and say, "Hey, I've got a business that's complementing what you do. I can't do my job without someone like you helping my clients. And I have a feeling that you can't do your job as well without someone like me who solves these other peripheral problems that you're not even addressing with your
mhm.
offering."
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because even when you have a service offering, there's always complementary parts to what you do. You know, here's my core, and I have a complementary service offering across the board. I think a lot of people who have started a company may start out with an idea, and at the end of the day, you find out sometimes that complementary service becomes the company because it becomes so popular. But as
Right.
you do that, working with partners is a great way to develop that complementary service. And a true partnership, like this, we're not wearing wedding rings here, okay?
Right.
But we are working to complement and help each other and be very collaborative. So, one of the things I talk about is like, I know we're here today. We have a problem to solve. We're going to solve that problem. And at the end of the day, you might be bringing your own resources in, and you might decide that complementary service needs to become a core part of your company. At
Right.
the end of the day, like, that's great. It's a feather in my cap. It's not lost business. I was able to successfully serve
Totally.
you. I was able to successfully create a partnership. You were able to successfully grow your company. So, that whole scarcity versus abundance,
Totally.
we all know clients don't stick around forever. Partnerships
No.
don't last forever. But if you can prove success in your partnerships, if you can prove how you can help people to grow, that next partnership is just like, one door closes, the other door opens pretty rapidly.
Yep.
And you've proven yourself, and there's a great opportunity from doing that. And just be honest about it. Just be
Yep.
honest by the fact that, like, this isn't forever. I'm going to help you, you're going to help me, and we're both going to
Yep.
be better at the end of the day.
No, it's funny because I have my my main client opt-in is, we offer two primary services. We have
Mhm.
one that does a strategic analysis of people's revenue operations, which takes about 3 months. It's very, very in depth. And then secondly, we offer a bunch of fractional leadership in marketing, sales, and
Yeah.
product development. Now, before we get to the fractional leadership parts, we always talk about, we go through the analysis. Well,
Mhm.
in our analysis, I actually have three strategic vendor partners that I don't hide. I actually tell
Yeah.
people we're working with so and so to this, so and so to this, and it is part of our pitch because
Mhm.
I want people to know that working with one of my vendor partners is great all by itself. But when it's coupled with the way we utilize it, it's, in my opinion, 10 times
Mhm.
better.
Yeah.
And we bundle it with our service, so you're not paying for each thing one off and paying full price. So when you find providers willing to do that, you, for example, are probably sitting on the back end of several agencies offering tons of really specialized services.
Mhm.
That's a great thing. It's almost an advantage to your agency partners to talk about the fact, hey,
Mhm.
I've got some great relationships with Brian over at White Level IQ, and this is what they help me do. And I use them because they're really, really good at this one thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
So, totally. So we partner with agency audit, and we do original research every year. Okay,
Right,
and the last research piece that we did, a lot we were asking a lot of questions, and the specific area of the surveying was about outsourcing, and we asked questions about with the clients about their sensitivity to agencies working with outsourcing partners and knowing it.
right,
Um, there was 5% of the respondents said that it was a problem. 95% of the agencies said clients don't care, they just want the work to get done. They want it to get done well, and they want it to get done, on time and on budget. 95% of them said they didn't care how the agency got it done, who they were using. I
right,
mean, that's just a testament there. Like, it's like our end clients at the end of the day look at their values, look at what they
right.
value, not our fear. And on time, on budget, right?
I love it.
Successful outcomes.
Just just solve my problem.
Right.
Right,
So I mean, we proved that by data, and that original research piece, I believe, is we had it. The feedback was from 375 unique agencies answering
yeah,
these questions, and this one specific data point just like stood out, like just it was just glaring,
love it.
and it was just, and for us, it was just an incentive to like, hey, we've got something here, keep going, keep accelerating. There's momentum in this area,
Right.
and we have not seen a slowdown. We are seeing more partnerships forming, more of those collaborations, and
I love it. Now,
really,
Brian,
really good.
you have written an article on this same thing in Forbes that just got published today.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it for those watching. Don't hesitate to reach out to Brian. His LinkedIn is connected to this broadcast.
Hmm.
I highly recommend you reach out to him and get a link to this thing. It's amazing how common this conversation is now becoming.
Hmm.
I felt like in operating my business 15 years ago, I was always nervous about my competitors. It's
Hmm.
just a natural tendency for founders to be scared and nervous about their competitors. Now, to the point of this conversation and where it's gone, there's so much more that can be gained by getting to know them. Go out to lunch with
Hmm.
them. I mean, go chat with them and hop on a call with them and say, hey, you know what? I'm curious why you're doing this business. Why do you do it? I'll tell you why I do it. It's because of XYZ. And they may be like, that's really cool. I totally came at it from a different angle. And all of a sudden you find this commonality and respect with your competition. And oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes these conversations can lead to a collaboration,
Yeah.
a,
I mean,
a referral or two that, hey, I really don't like working with people that have this specific problem. Do you want to take that?
mhm.
100%. Let me give you a commission for that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
really
And
cool.
sometimes at the end of the day, and I've had these conversations with a lot of the people who do exactly what we're doing, and we get to the table and we're talking, and you realize sometimes they're not really in as direct of competition with you as you think. They start to
Right.
talk like, "Hey, here's what we do. Here's our focuses," and you're like, "Oh, well, we do it a little bit differently." And so there's all of a sudden you see like it open up. You're like,
Right.
"Okay, well, once you can identify, hey, well, this is the direction we're going. This is the direction we're going." It makes it easier. You can then you start sharing some notes. You start doing
Totally.
really well. You start seeing each other at conferences. That happens a lot. And then
A lot. A
um,
lot.
we, you know, business at the end of the day is about trust. Can you deliver trust? Can you maintain that trust consistently over time? And um, when you have those kind of when you can sit down with your competition,
Right.
and you can that kind of I'm just saying, trust comes out of open and transparent communication. You don't
100%.
need to sit down and like open up your books and go, here's exactly what's going on. But
Totally.
there, you will learn something by expanding your network, and you will learn something about including your competition in your network.
Well,
And you're
Brian,
going to often learn that they're not really your competition all the time.
I want to throw this into the chat. I would love to have anybody watching throw into the chat. Um, have you ever communicated or collaborated with someone you thought was a competitor? What came of it? I would love to know who the competitor was. What business was it that you were with at the time? Are you doing it now? Um, Tag somebody in the comment below and say, yeah, I'm working with so-and-so or what have you. I think it's so fascinating for me to see other businesses collaborating with other businesses, because at the end of the day, to your point, Brian, we want to offer our clients the best possible service that we can. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just don't have all the people in-house. So let's collaborate, let's communicate, let's make sure that our clients are getting what they need, not because we're 100 people strong in our own organization, but maybe because we've got 20 people that are awesome at this, and this other group that I love to work with, they've got 20 people that are awesome at this, which complements what
And
we do.
And I think the key in that too is you're broadening your audience.
Right.
You're allowing yourself to work with larger clients. You're allowing yourself to get into areas of expertise and to be able to innovate faster by having those conversations and being able to understand your competition. So we started this whole thing about studying your competition, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just want to read that is still 100% valid. You still have to be looking at, you have to know who is your competition, who is the market, where are they, because
Right.
you have to be able to differentiate and focus. And once you've done that, our whole conversation about partnering with people becomes way easier.
Right. Right.
If you're competing with everybody trying to do everything, there you will have no friend. There's no room for friends. But once you've been able to specialize and to demonstrate authority within a specific area, that
Yep.
authority carries weight. That authority brings you to the table. That authority brings you into partnerships, and people start to come to you. And there's less qualification. You're already qualified. They know who to talk to because you've been talking about this,
Right.
on and on and on. So those authority positions really make it easier, communications clearer, um, and you do have to start by understanding the market and your competition to go into that
And
area.
understand who you want to work with.
Yep.
I think Brian, just in summary, this conversation is one that I love having because I think that too often we overlook the fact that our competitors can sometimes be our best friends in terms of referral partners and alliances. Take a step back and look at your business. Look at the people that you're competing with. Look at the people you're competing with on AdWords and advertising dollars that
Mhm.
you're spending. Because sometimes you'd be shocked if you reached out to them and said, "Hey, why? How about instead of driving both of our costs up, we do some kind of a joint buy-in?" You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's creative ways you can do things like that. But at the end of the day, I challenge everybody listening, download this QR code, scan the QR code with your phone, download the PDF, and take a look at what Brian's done on this report. I think it's amazing. I think it's something you need to be thinking about as a business founder. If you want true growth and scaling in your business, you can take it a lot of different paths to get there. I highly suggest you think about the path of least resistance, which is try working with people already servicing your ideal client avatar. And then if that's not working, reach out to your competition to see where they feel like the industry's going. Maybe they're having the same struggles you're having and you didn't know it. Maybe you're going to see them at a trade show and there's some value in saying, hey, have you worked with these vendor partners before? Maybe you never know what's going to come out of it. But I have never had a time where I've actually communicated with my competition and felt like that was a really stupid thing to do. I just never have.
Right.
So
that's awesome. Thank you.
So check it out, everybody. Download that scan that QR, download the PDF, reach out to either of us with comments, questions, or concerns in the in LinkedIn. Just go ahead and DM or Facebook or anywhere else you're watching this. And we look forward to seeing you on another episode of the Growth and Scaling Sessions. Brian, anything you want to wrap up with as we close this call up?
No, I mean, just wish everybody success. And I really do think talent is key. Talent is key in this market.
Talent is key. And if you haven't done so already, go subscribe to the podcast. Brian and I had a great episode that's been published that you need to check it out. And there are a lot of amazing founders. I think we're close to 50 founders already that we've recorded on the podcast. About 20 of them, 25 of them have been published. But it is a great conversation to listen to. Other founders talking about the same challenges that you've dealt with in your growth journey. And I invite you all to check it out. Thanks again, Brian, for being part of both with me on the sessions and the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Todd.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.